Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council waited for news from their stealth probe. Admiral Vec paced around the meeting room, his three eyes watching the communication screen. 2 weeks had passed since the probe reached Earth. It should have reported back by now. Maybe the probe was destroyed like everything else, Commander Thar said. His green scales looked darker than usual, showing his worry. The probe is quantum shielded, Intelligence Officer Nix replied. Nothing on Earth should be able to detect it, much less destroy it. General Kix made grinding noises with his metal body. Then where is it? Before anyone could answer, the communication screen lit up. Data started flowing across it faster than anyone had ever seen. "It's the probe," Admiral Vec shouted. "It's sending everything at once." For the next 6 hours, the Galactic Council watched in silence as the probe shared its recordings. They saw the memories of their missing warriors. They saw the hidden cities. They saw aliens and humans living together as one community. When the transmission ended, the room was completely quiet. Commander Thar was the first to speak. "This is impossible," he said, but his voice was weak. "The evidence is right there," Admiral Vec replied. "Our warriors didn't get destroyed, they chose to stay." Princess Yara flapped her wings nervously. "But why would they choose that? They were trained to be warriors. It's all they knew." "Maybe," said a quiet voice from the back of the room. "That's exactly why they chose something different." Everyone turned to look. The voice belonged to Captain Zill, the small four-armed alien, who rarely spoke during meetings. "What do you mean?" Admiral Vec asked. Captain Zill stood up slowly. "I've been a soldier for 40 years, he said. "I've conquered 8 worlds. I've killed more enemies than I can count. And you know what? I'm tired." The room stayed quiet. No one had ever heard a warrior talk like this before. "Every night I dream about the faces of the people I've killed," Captain Zill continued. "Every day I wake up and prepare to kill more. I do it because it's my duty, because it's what I was trained to do. But what if there was another choice?" General Kix turned his metal head toward Captain Zill. "Are you saying you want to abandon your duty?" "I'm saying maybe our duty is wrong," Captain Zill replied. "Maybe there's something better than conquest." Commander Thar stood up angrily. "This is weakness. Earth has infected our warriors with weakness." "Has it?" Admiral Vec asked. He looked at the data again. "According to these scans, our former warriors are stronger than ever. They're just using their strength to build instead of destroy." On Earth, Dr. Hana Lee and her team were preparing for the most important conversation in human history. The probe had asked if it could come down to the surface to see the hidden cities for itself. "Are we sure this is safe?" Colonel Kyung-nam asked. "The probe has been peaceful for weeks," Dr. Taemin Song replied. "If it wanted to hurt us, it would have done it already." Dr. Jimin Choi, Earth's newly appointed interstellar ambassador, arrived at the monitoring station that morning. She was young for such an important job, but she had spent years studying alien psychology and first contact protocols. "The probe isn't just asking to visit," Jimin said, looking at the latest messages. "It's asking for permission to stay." The probe's request was simple but profound. It wanted to experience what the missing warriors had experienced. It wanted to understand how Earth could transform enemies into friends. "We'll take it to New Haven," Dr. Lee decided. "If it's going to understand what happened to their people, it needs to see the city where they all chose to work together." 2 days later, the probe landed in a field outside New Haven. It was small, about the size of a car, and seemed to shimmer like it was made of liquid starlight. Won-ho Kim, the mayor of New Haven, came out to greet it personally. Behind him came a group that represented the entire community. Humans, former Zephyrians, Crystal Empire refugees, Void Stalkers, and members of all the other species who had chosen to stay. The probe extended sensors that could see and hear everything around it. For the first time, it experienced Earth directly instead of through long-distance scans. "Welcome to New Haven," Won-ho said to the probe. "We hope you'll find what you're looking for here." The probe spent 3 days in the city. It watched children of different species play together in the parks. It observed former warriors teaching agriculture and engineering. It listened to the evening concerts where music from dozens of worlds blended into something completely new. Most importantly, it talked with the aliens who had chosen to stay. Utah, the former war commander, sat with the probe in his garden. Around them plants from Earth and other worlds grew together in impossible harmony. "Why did you stay?" the probe asked in its translated voice. Utah touched his pocket where he still kept Soman's drawing. "Because here, I am not just a weapon," he said. "Here, I am a person who can choose to help things grow instead of destroying them." The probe asked the same question to others. A former Crystal Empire warrior named Zara, who now ran a meditation center, said, "I stayed because here, I learned that strength doesn't come from making others afraid. It comes from helping others feel safe." A void stalker named Lux, who taught children about different planets, said, "I stayed because here my darkness was turned into light that helps others learn." On the third night, the probe asked for a meeting with the city's leaders. Humans and aliens gathered in the central hall to hear what it had to say. "I understand now," the probe said. Its mechanical voice somehow sounded emotional. "You did not conquer our warriors. You freed them." Wanho nodded. "Everyone deserves the chance to choose who they want to be." "But how?" the probe asked. "How do you turn enemies into family?" Dr. Sung J. Park, a human philosopher who lived in New Haven, stepped forward. "We don't try to change people," he said. "We just show them that they are worthy of love no matter what they've done before. When people feel worthy of love, they usually choose to be loving in return." The probe was quiet for a long moment. Then it asked the question that would change galactic history. Could this work for entire worlds? Could entire species choose to be something other than warriors? The humans and aliens looked at each other. They had been so focused on their small community that they hadn't thought about the bigger picture. "There's only one way to find out," Jim and Choi said. "We invite them to try." 3 days later, the probe sent a message back to the Galactic Council, but it wasn't the message they expected. Instead of reporting that Earth had some terrible weapon, the probe sent an invitation. "Come to Earth," the message said. "Not as conquerors, but as guests. Come and see what your missing warriors have built. Come and learn how to turn war into peace." On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council stared at the message in shock. "It's asking us to surrender," Commander Thar said. "No," Admiral Vec replied slowly. "It's asking us to evolve." The vote was close. Half the council wanted to send another invasion fleet to destroy Earth before its infection could spread. The other half wanted to accept the invitation. Captain Zill cast the deciding vote. "I want to see this place where warriors can choose to be something else," he said. 6 months later, the first diplomatic mission in galactic history arrived at Earth. Not to conquer, but to learn. The ships were filled with representatives from every species in the galaxy. Warriors who were tired of war. Leaders who wondered if there was a better way to govern. And ordinary people who dreamed of a universe where different species could be friends instead of enemies. They landed in New Haven, where former enemies had built something beautiful together. They saw children playing games that mixed traditions from dozens of worlds. They watched adults working together to solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Most importantly, they met the warriors who had chosen to stay. Warriors who had found something worth more than conquest. They had found home. Admiral Vec, who had led the mission to Earth, stood in the central square of New Haven on his last day there. Around him, hundreds of beings from across the galaxy talked, laughed, and worked together. "What will you tell the council when you return?" Wanho asked him. Admiral Vec looked around at the impossible city where former enemies had become family. "I will tell them," he said, "that we have been asking the wrong question all along." "What do you mean?" "We kept asking how to win wars," Admiral Vec explained. "We should have been asking how to make wars unnecessary." Hyejin Song, a human teacher who worked with children from all species, overheard their conversation. She smiled and said, "The strongest thing in the universe isn't the ability to destroy. It's the ability to create something so beautiful that no one wants to destroy it anymore." As the diplomatic ships prepared to leave Earth, many of the crew members asked the same question that the missing warriors had asked decades before. Can we stay? The answer was always the same. Everyone is welcome here. The probe, which had started this whole adventure, sent one final message to Earth before returning with the diplomatic fleet. Thank you, it said, for showing the galaxy that there is something stronger than war. Thank you for showing us that everyone deserves a chance to find home. Admiral Taehyun Choi stood in the command center deep beneath the Swiss Alps. The room buzzed with activity as officers moved between computer stations and holographic displays. Red lights blinked on wall screens showing Earth's defenses. Everyone knew they had less than 30 days to prepare for war. Report, Admiral Taehyun said as Ambassador Ji-won Park entered the room. They will attack, Ji-won said without hesitation. The NIGMA are too proud to back down. They see us as weak insects to be crushed. Colonel Min-ho Kim followed her into the room. Their commander dismissed everything we told him. He thinks human history means nothing compared to NIGMA power. Then, we make sure human present means everything, Admiral Taehyun replied. He turned to the main display showing Earth and its surrounding space. What do we know about their capabilities? Dr. Yuna Han stepped forward from her workstation. She was a small woman with bright eyes behind thick glasses. I have been studying the biological samples from our diplomatic meetings. The NIGMA have cybernetic implants throughout their bodies. These implants make them stronger and faster, but they also create weaknesses. What kind of weaknesses? Minho asked. Their implants need constant power from their ship systems, Dr. Yuna explained. Cut them off from that power, and their enhanced abilities start failing. Also, their cybernetics make them vulnerable to certain electromagnetic frequencies. Admiral Taehyun nodded. Can we weaponize this information? Already working on it, Dr. Yuna said. Give me 2 weeks and I will have devices that can disrupt their systems. Sora Lee approached with a tablet full of data. Intelligence reports from across NIGMA space. They have over 300 ships in their main fleet. Each ship carries about 500 soldiers. Their weapons can destroy a city with one shot. Sounds impossible to fight, said Captain Do-Yoon Lee as he joined the group. He was young for a ship captain, but his eyes showed the experience of many space battles. Good thing we are not planning to fight them directly. Admiral Taehyun smiled. Exactly. Show them our secret project. Captain Do-Yoon led them through several security doors to a massive underground hangar. Inside sat a ship unlike any other in Earth's fleet. It was smaller than a typical warship, painted black as space itself. Strange angles covered its surface, and it seemed to bend light around it. Meet the Indomitable, Captain Do-Yoon said with pride. She is not the biggest ship or the fastest ship, but she is something the NIGMA have never seen before. What makes her special? Ji-won asked. Lieutenant Yoonbi Shin emerged from the ship's loading ramp. She was a tactical officer with sharp features and calculating eyes. The Indomitable combines technologies from 12 different alien species we have encountered. The NIGMA think in straight lines, bigger guns, thicker armor, more power. We think in curves. She activated a handheld device. The ship seemed to fade from view, becoming almost invisible. Stealth technology from the Kethvar traders, Yoonbi explained, combined with human improvements that make it work better than the original. Sergeant Hyunwoo Park climbed down from the ship's upper deck. He was a big man with scarred hands and a friendly smile that did not hide his dangerous nature. The weapon systems are even better. We took NIGMA energy weapons captured from their raids on other species. Then we made them more efficient. How much more efficient? Minho asked. About 3 times more powerful while using half the energy, Hyunwoo replied. Plus we added some human touches they will not expect. Captain Do-Hyun walked them around the ship. The propulsion system is our real masterpiece. We combined antimatter drives from the Zephyrian refugees with quantum manipulation, technology we developed ourselves. The result is a ship that can appear anywhere instantly. Teleportation? Admiral Taehyun asked with interest. Not exactly, Yoonbi corrected. More like controlled quantum tunneling. We can slip through space-time itself for short distances. Very useful for surprise attacks. Dr. Yuna examined the ship's hull plating. These materials are interesting. I see elements from at least 6 different worlds. Human metallurgy combined with alien minerals, Hyunwoo explained. The armor can absorb energy weapons and redirect the power to our own systems. The NIGMA will literally be charging our batteries while they try to kill us. Min Jae-yoon approached from the hangar entrance. He was the head of Earth's intelligence network, a quiet man who seemed to know everyone's secrets. We have bigger advantages than just one ship. Our allies are ready to help. What allies? Ji-won asked. Most species are too afraid of the NIGMA to openly resist. Openly, yes, Min-jae agreed. But secretly, the galaxy is full of species who hate the NIGMA empire. The Velthari remember when the NIGMA enslaved their homeworld. The Krexnath lost their entire colonies to NIGMA expansion. The Zephians are refugees because the NIGMA destroyed their planet. He activated a holographic map showing dozens of star systems. They cannot fight the NIGMA directly, but they can provide supplies, information, and safe havens for our operations. What kind of operations? Sora asked. The kind the NIGMA will never see coming, Minji replied with a cold smile. They expect humans to defend Earth and wait for them to attack. Instead, we are going to take the fight to them. Admiral Tae-hyun studied the star map. Show me their supply lines. The map changed, displaying trade routes and military supply chains throughout NIGMA space. The NIGMA empire is huge, Min-jae explained, but that size is also a weakness. They need constant supplies to maintain their fleet and control their territories. And if those supplies stop arriving, Captain Do-yoon asked, their ships become sitting targets. Their armies go hungry. Their control over conquered species begins to slip, Min-jae answered. Lieutenant Yunbi pointed to several key locations on the map. These are their main supply depots, heavily defended, but not impossible, to reach with the right approach. What about their communication networks? Dr. Yuna asked. Can we disrupt their ability to coordinate? Already working on it, Min-jae said. The NIGMA use quantum entanglement for instant communication across their empire. Very advanced, very secure. But they never considered that someone might use biological viruses to attack quantum systems. Biological viruses against quantum computers? Ji-won looked confused. Dr. Yuna laughed. One of my specialties. I have been developing organic computer viruses that can adapt and evolve like living creatures. Once they infect a NIGMA system, they spread and mutate faster than any digital defense can stop them. Sergeant Hyunwoo examined the weapons locker near the Indomitable. What about ground operations? Ship battles are fine, but eventually someone has to board their vessels and fight face-to-face. That is where human advantages become most obvious, Minho said. The NIGMA are stronger and tougher than humans because of their cybernetic implants, but those same implants make them predictable. How so? Captain Do-hyun asked. Their implants are programmed with optimal fighting patterns, Minho explained. They react the same way to the same situations. Humans adapt constantly during combat. We improvise. We use our environment. We think outside the box. Lieutenant Yunbi nodded. I have been studying their combat recordings from previous conquests. The NIGMA fight like machines, efficient but inflexible. They have never faced an enemy that changes tactics mid-battle. Plus we have something they do not, Hyunwoo added. Desperation. They fight to expand their empire. We fight to save our species. That makes a big difference in motivation. Admiral Tae-hyun called everyone to attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 26 days before the NIGMA fleet arrives. Our plan is simple in concept, but complex in execution. The main display showed Earth surrounded by enemy ships. They expect to find a primitive world defended by scared humans with inferior weapons. Instead, they will find empty space and missing ships. Where will our ships be? Ji-won asked. Scattered throughout NIGMA space, Min-jae answered. Hitting supply depots, communication hubs, and isolated patrol vessels. By the time they realize what is happening, their empire will be falling apart from within. Captain Do-yun studied the tactical display. The Indomitable will lead the deep strikes. Our stealth capabilities and quantum drive will let us hit targets the NIGMA think are impossible to reach. What about defending Earth itself? Sora asked. Earth will be defended, Admiral Taehyun promised. But not in the way they expect. We will not meet their fleet in open battle. Instead, we will demonstrate that occupying human space is more dangerous than leaving it alone. Dr. Yuna activated her workstation. My biological and technological weapons will be ready in time. The NIGMA will discover that their advanced implants become liabilities when faced with the right countermeasures. Communications are key, Minjae added. We need to coordinate attacks across dozens of star systems while maintaining total secrecy. One leaked operation could compromise everything. Lieutenant Yunbi pulled up detailed ship schematics. Every human vessel will be modified with new weapons and defenses based on our study of NIGMA technology. We may be outnumbered, but we will not be outgunned. Training? Sergeant Hyunwoo asked. Exactly 30 days after the diplomatic meeting, the NIGMA fleet arrived at Earth. 300 warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Each ship was massive, dark metal covered in weapon ports and armor plating. They surrounded, Earth-like wolves circling wounded prey. On the flagship's bridge, Commander Vexthul studied the blue planet below. Send the final surrender demand, he ordered. Let these humans hear their doom. The communication broadcast reached every radio and television on Earth. Commander Vexthul's voice filled the airwaves, cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth. Your 30 days have ended. You have not surrendered. Now you will face the consequences. We will demonstrate our power by destroying your moon base. After that, you have one final chance to submit before we reduce your world to dust. The NIGMA flagship charged its main weapon. Energy gathered in the massive cannon glowing brighter and brighter. Luna Base, humanity's largest off-world facility, sat helpless in the weapons targeting system. Fire, Commander Vexthul commanded. The energy beam lanced across space in an instant. Luna Base disappeared in a ball of white fire. Where thousands of humans had lived and worked, only empty space remained. Impressive, said the scarred NIGMA officer. The humans must be terrified now. But Earth's response was not fear. Instead, something impossible happened. Ships began appearing throughout the solar system. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them. They decloaked simultaneously, revealing themselves like ghosts becoming solid. Human vessels surrounded the NIGMA fleet from every direction. What? Commander Vexthul stared at his displays in confusion. Where did they come from? His sensor officer, a NIGMA with silver implants covering half his face, worked frantically at his controls. Commander, I am detecting massive energy signatures. These ships, they are not reading as primitive technology. Impossible. Humans are a backward species. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Do-Yun Lee smiled grimly as he watched the NIGMA fleet scramble to understand what was happening. All ships, this is Do-Hyun. Operation Prometheus is now active. Remember the plan. Hit hard, hit fast, and show them what humans can do. Lieutenant Yoonbi Shin sat at the tactical station, her fingers dancing across the controls. Target acquired. NIGMA flagship, range optimal, quantum drive ready. Take us in, Captain Do-Yun ordered. The Indomitable vanished from its position and reappeared directly behind the NIGMA flagship. The massive alien ship had no time to react before human weapons tore into its rear shields. Impossible, Commander Vexthul shouted as his ship shook under the attack. No species has teleportation technology. The human weapons were unlike anything the NIGMA had seen. Instead of simple energy beams, they fired complex bursts that seemed to adapt as they hit their targets. The NIGMA ship's shields, designed to deflect standard weapons, began failing rapidly. How are their weapons penetrating our defenses? The silver-faced officer asked. Because we studied your shields for months, Lieutenant Yunbi said over the communication channel. We know exactly how they work. These weapons are designed specifically to bypass NIGMA defenses. Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared behind NIGMA vessels, fired devastating attacks, then vanished before the aliens could respond. It was like fighting shadows. Sergeant Hyunwoo Park, led a boarding team onto a NIGMA cruiser. His men wore advanced armor that incorporated technology from 6 different alien species. The NIGMA soldiers they encountered were stronger and tougher, but they fought like machines following programmed responses. Left corridor, 3 NIGMA approaching. One of Yunwu's men reported. Standard flanking pattern, Yunwu replied. Same as always. Johnson, go right. Martinez, center. Kim, with me on the left. They will expect us to retreat when they charge. The NIGMA soldiers did exactly what Hyunwoo predicted. They advanced in formation, energy weapons firing in coordinated patterns. But the humans did not retreat. Instead, they scattered in different directions, using the ship's corridors and equipment as cover. What are they doing? One NIGMA soldier said in confusion. This is not standard combat behavior. That is the point, Yunwoo replied, appearing behind them with an electromagnetic device. Standard behavior gets you killed. The device activated, sending out the frequency Dr. Yuna had discovered. The NIGMA soldiers' cybernetic implants began sparking and failing. Their enhanced strength and speed disappeared, leaving them helpless against human tactics. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Do-hyun watched the battle unfold. Status report all ships. 7th Fleet reporting successful strikes on enemy destroyers, came a voice over the communication system. 3 enemy ships disabled, no human casualties. 3rd Fleet here. We have taken out their supply ships. The NIGMA fleet is cut off from reinforcements. 9th Fleet reporting successful boarding actions. We have captured 2 NIGMA cruisers intact. Commander Vexthul could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being torn apart by supposedly primitive humans. Worse, they were doing it with tactics he could not understand or counter. All ships, retreat to defensive formation, he ordered. Focus fire on the largest human vessels. But the human ships would not stay still long enough for focused fire. They appeared, attacked, and vanished before the NIGMA could respond. It was like trying to fight smoke. Commander, his sensor officer reported, we are losing ships faster than we can count them. These humans, they fight like nothing we have encountered. They are just humans, Vexthul roared. Weak, primitive, pathetic creatures. Then why are we losing? The scarred officer asked quietly. Lieutenant Yunbi targeted another NIGMA ship with the Indomitable's main weapons. Because you never learned the most important rule of warfare, she said over the open channel. Know your enemy. You saw what you wanted to see. Weak humans with primitive technology. You never saw what we really are. And what are you? Commander Vexthul demanded. We are the species that survived ice ages, Captain Do-hyun replied. The species that turned world wars into technological revolutions. The species that reaches for the stars every time someone tries to keep us on the ground. The battle continued, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Human ships moved through the NIGMA fleet like sharks through a school of fish. Every attack was precise, calculated, and devastating. Dr. Yuna's biological weapons began taking effect throughout the NIGMA fleet. The aliens' cybernetic implants started malfunctioning. Their enhanced abilities failed at critical moments. Their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. All ships, this is Admiral Tae-hyun, came the voice from Earth's command center. Phase 1 is complete. NIGMA fleet is in disarray. Begin Phase 2 operations. What is Phase 2? Commander Vexthul asked desperately. Phase 2 is when we stop playing defense, Min Jae-yoon replied from his intelligence station. Phase 2 is when we take the fight to your empire. More human ships appeared throughout the solar system. These were not defenders but attack vessels loaded with assault troops and deep space equipment. They moved past the crippled NIGMA fleet toward the hyperspace jump points that led to NIGMA territory. You cannot invade our empire, Vexthul protested. We have fortress worlds, we have defense fleets, we have 3,000 years of military experience. And we have something you do not, Captain Do-hyun said as the Indomitable prepared to jump to hyperspace. We have 30 days of studying your weaknesses. We have allies throughout your empire who are ready to rebel. And we have nothing left to lose. Sergeant Hyunwoo's voice came over the communication system from the captured NIGMA cruiser. "We also have your ships, your weapons, and your navigation data. Thank you for bringing them right to us." The first wave of human ships jumped to hyperspace, heading deep into NIGMA territory. They left behind a crippled alien fleet and a very important message. "This is Ambassador Jiwon Park speaking to all NIGMA forces." Her voice broadcast throughout the solar system. "We warned you at the diplomatic station. We told you that humans do not surrender. We told you that we learn from every challenge." She paused, letting her words reach every surviving NIGMA ship. "You chose not to listen. You thought our warnings were empty threats. Now you know better. This battle was not your defeat. This battle was your education. The real war begins now." Commander Vexthul sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the tactical display that showed his fleet in ruins. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced. "Before fear, send a message to NIGMA Command," he ordered weakly. Tell them we need reinforcements. Tell them the humans are not what we thought they were." "What should I tell them we are facing?" the communications officer asked. Vexthul looked at the blue planet that had just shattered his fleet and his confidence. "Tell them we are facing something we have never encountered before. An enemy that learns from every battle. An enemy that turns our strengths into weaknesses. An enemy that does not know how to quit." He paused, watching human ships disappear into hyperspace to carry the war to his home worlds. "Tell them we may have awakened something that should have been left sleeping. The Battle of Earth was over. The war for the galaxy had just begun. The NIGMA home system had never been threatened in 3,000 years of empire. The planet Nexivore sat at the center of a fortress that seemed impossible to break. Orbital platforms covered the sky like a metal shell. Defense fleets patrolled between massive space stations. Energy barriers protected every approach. Emperor Zekethul stood on his throne room balcony, looking up at the armored sky. He was ancient even by NIGMA standards, his body more machine than flesh. Golden implants covered his skin like armor, and his eyes glowed with artificial fire. "Report," he commanded as High Admiral Keshatar approached. "The human fleet has entered our outer system," Keshatar said reluctantly. "They bring allies from across the galaxy, former slaves, conquered species, even some of our own people who have turned against us." "How many ships?" "Over 2,000 vessels. But that is not the worst news." Emperor Zekthul turned to face his admiral. "What could be worse than a rebel fleet at our doorstep?" "Our own people are joining them," Keshatar admitted. "Worlds that have been loyal for centuries are declaring independence. Our empire is dissolving from within." In space above Nexivore, the human fleet spread out like a closing net. Admiral Taehyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, surrounded by officers from dozens of different species. The alliance that had formed around humanity represented the largest rebellion in galactic history. "Final positions," Admiral Taehyun ordered. "All ships report readiness." "Velthari fleet ready," came the first response. "Krexnath squadrons in position," said another. "Zephian forces standing by," added a third. Captain Dohyun's voice came over the communication system from the Indomitable. "Human strike teams, ready for final assault. We have identified the Emperor's fortress and the primary defense control centers." "Dr. Yuna, status on the biological weapons?" Admiral Taehyun asked. "The virus has been uploaded to all NIGMA networks," Dr. Yuna replied. From her laboratory ship, "Their cybernetic systems will begin failing in approximately 1 hour. The more advanced their implants, the faster they will shut down." General Minho Kim led the ground assault preparation. "All boarding teams ready. We have NIGMA prisoners who are willing to help us navigate their fortress systems." "Prisoners helping us?" Admiral Taehyun asked with surprise. "Turns out many NIGMA soldiers are tired of serving an empire that treats them as expendable," Minho explained. "They want to live in a galaxy where strength comes from cooperation, not conquest." Lieutenant Yunbi Shin worked at her tactical station, aboard the Indomitable. "I have identified the Emperor's personal command center. It is buried deep in the planet's core, protected by layers of armor and energy shields." "Can we reach it?" Captain Dohyun asked. Not through conventional assault, Yunbi replied. But I have an idea. The NIGMA depend on their cybernetic implants, for everything. What if we could turn those implants against them? Sergeant Hyunwoo Park grinned from his position in the assault shuttle. I like the way you think. Give us a way in, and we will show the Emperor what humans do to bullies. The assault began at dawn on Nexivore, but instead of attacking the orbital platforms directly, the human fleet did something unexpected. They broadcast a message to every NIGMA citizen on the planet. Ambassador Ji-won Park's voice filled the airwaves. People of the NIGMA Empire, this is Ambassador Ji-won Park representing the Galactic Liberation Alliance. We did not come here to destroy your world. We came here to free it. Your Emperor has led you into a war you cannot win, her voice continued. For 3,000 years your empire has grown through conquest and oppression. But empires built on fear cannot last forever. On his throne room balcony, Emperor Zekthul watched human ships move between his orbital platforms without being attacked. Why are our defenses not firing? He demanded. The defense systems are offline, Keshatar reported. The human virus has infected our computers. Our weapons will not respond to commands. Then send fighters, send boarding parties, fight them ship to ship. Sir, our pilots' implants are malfunctioning. Many cannot even leave their ships. The virus is specifically designed to target NIGMA cybernetics. Below, in the city streets, something unprecedented happened. NIGMA citizens began removing their imperial symbols and laying down their weapons. Slaves and servants who had lived in fear for generations started walking free. The people are listening to the human broadcast, an aide reported to the Emperor. They are choosing freedom over empire. Dr. Yuna's biological weapons worked exactly as designed. Throughout the fortress, NIGMA soldiers found their enhanced abilities failing. Their cybernetic implants, which had made them superior warriors, became useless metal in their bodies. Captain Do-yoon led the assault on the Imperial Palace. The Indomitable appeared directly in the throne room's airspace, its quantum drive allowing it to bypass all physical barriers. This is impossible, Emperor Zekthul screamed as the human ship materialized in his sanctuary. No technology can penetrate the Imperial Palace. Human technology can, Lieutenant Yunbi replied over the ship's speakers. Because we do not just copy what others build. We improve it, adapt it, and make it work in ways the original designers never imagined. Boarding ramps extended from the Indomitable. Sergeant Hyunwoo led teams of human soldiers and alien allies into the throne room. They found the Emperor standing alone, his golden implants sparking and failing. I am Emperor Zekthul, he declared, weakly. I have ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. You cannot defeat me. We already have, General Minho said as he entered the throne room. Your empire is gone, your fleets are scattered, your people have chosen freedom. But I am immortal. My cybernetic implants make me stronger than any biological creature. Doctor. Yuna stepped forward carrying a small device. Your implants make you vulnerable to this. She activated the device, sending out a specific electromagnetic pulse. Emperor Zekthul's golden implants began shutting down one by one. The artificial enhancements that had kept him alive for centuries started failing. For the first time in a millennium, he felt weak and mortal. This cannot be happening, he whispered, falling to his knees. The NIGMA Empire is eternal. We are the strongest species in the galaxy. No, Ambassador Ji-won said as she entered the throne room. You were the most feared. There is a difference. Fear makes enemies. Strength builds alliances. She gestured to the diverse group of humans and aliens standing around them. Look around you. Your empire conquered through force and terror. Our alliance formed through cooperation and mutual respect. Which do you think is stronger? Throughout the palace, NIGMA guards surrendered to human forces. Some fought to the end, but many chose to lay down their weapons and accept the new reality. What will you do with us? High Admiral Keshatar asked as he was brought before the human leaders. That depends on you, Admiral Taehyun replied. Those who committed war crimes will face justice. Those who are willing to help rebuild the galaxy in peace will be given that chance. And our empire. Your empire ended the moment you attacked Earth, Min Jae-yoon said from his position by the communication console. But your people can have a future in the new galactic alliance we are building. Emperor Zekthul looked up at the humans with failing eyes. You warned us. At the diplomatic station, you warned us this would happen. We did, Ji-won confirmed. We told you that humans do not surrender. We told you that we learn from every challenge. We told you that no empire lasts forever. Why? The Emperor asked weakly. Why did you give us that warning? Why not just attack without notice? Because that is not who we are, Ji-won replied. Humans believe in giving others the chance to choose peace over war. You chose war. Now you live with the consequences. Captain Do-hyun activated his communication system. All ships, this is Do-hyun. The Imperial Palace is secure. Emperor Zekthul is in custody. The NIGMA Empire has fallen. Cheers erupted from ships throughout the system, not just from human vessels, but from every species that had suffered under NIGMA rule. The galaxy's longest-running nightmare was finally over. 1 month later, Ambassador Ji-won Park stood before the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the assembly hall. Where once the NIGMA had ruled through fear, now dozens of species worked together in peace. The NIGMA Empire lasted 3,000 years, Ji-won said to the assembled delegates. Today it exists only in history books and memory, not because we destroyed it, but because its people chose freedom over tyranny. She paused, looking around, the hall at the diverse faces watching her. Let this be a lesson to anyone who would try to conquer the galaxy through force. Empires built on oppression always fall, but alliances built on cooperation can last forever. General Min-ho Kim, now head of the Allied Defense Force, stood up. The NIGMA chose to ignore our warnings. They thought human compassion was weakness. They thought our offers of peace were signs of fear. They learned too late that human compassion is backed by human determination. They discovered that our desire for peace does not mean we will not fight for it. The diplomatic station looked small against the dark space around planet Kepler 442b. Inside the main meeting room, Ambassador Ji-won Park sat across from creatures that looked like they came from nightmares. The NIGMA delegation filled their side of the table. They were tall, nearly 8 feet high, with dark metal parts mixed into their skin. Their eyes glowed red like burning coals. Sharp teeth showed when they spoke. Their leader wore golden armor that seemed to move by itself. You are Ambassador Park from the planet called Earth, the NIGMA Warcast commander said. His voice sounded like grinding metal. I am Commander Vexthul of the NIGMA Empire. We have come to give you terms. Ji-won kept her face calm. She had practiced this moment many times. Next to her sat Colonel Min-ho Kim, a military man with gray hair and steady eyes. On her other side was Intelligence Officer Sora Lee, a young woman who watched everything with sharp attention. We are here to listen, Ji-won said in a clear voice. Commander Vexthul made a sound that might have been laughter. Listen, you will obey. The NIGMA Empire has ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. We have conquered 47 star systems. We have destroyed entire civilizations that dared to resist us. The alien leader stood up. His golden armor made clicking sounds as he moved. Your species is weak. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. Yet you dare to exist in our space without permission. Min-ho Kim leaned forward slightly. Our space? Earth has been in this location for billions of years. Space belongs to those strong enough to take it, another NIGMA said. This one had silver armor and scars across his face. We are strong. You are not. This is the natural order. Ji-won nodded slowly. I understand your position, but before you make your final decision, I think you should know something about Earth and its people. What could we possibly need to know about such a weak species? Commander Vexthul asked. We humans have a saying, Ji-won began. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Earth has a very long history, and most of it is about survival. Sora Lee activated a small device. Images appeared in the air above the table. The first showed a frozen world covered in ice. This is Earth during our ice ages, Ji-won explained. The planet became so cold that most life died. The ice was miles thick. Food was almost impossible to find. Many species became extinct. And yet humans survived, Minho added. Not just survived, but learned to hunt the largest animals on the planet. We learned to make fire. We learned to make tools. We became stronger. The next image showed ancient battles, men with swords and shields fighting against impossible odds. This is Thermopylae, Ji-won continued. 300 Spartan warriors faced an army of hundreds of thousands. They all died, but they showed the world that numbers alone do not guarantee victory. They inspired others to keep fighting. Commander Vexthul made a dismissive gesture. Ancient history, primitive weapons. This means nothing. More images appeared. Beaches covered with soldiers, cities in ruins, mushroom clouds rising into the sky. This is more recent history, Ji-won said. World War II. Over 50 million humans died. Entire cities were destroyed. We even created weapons that could destroy all life on our planet. Then you understand destruction, the scarred NIGMA said. Good. This will make your surrender easier. No, Minho said firmly. You do not understand. After that war, we did not surrender to despair. We built our cities better than before. We made new laws to prevent such wars. We reached for the stars. The same images changed again. This time they showed rockets launching into space, men walking on the moon, space stations orbiting Earth. Every time Earth tried to kill us, we became stronger, Ji-won explained. Every time we faced extinction, we found a way to survive. Ice ages, plagues, wars, natural disasters. Nothing has ever made us give up. Sora Lee spoke for the first time. We studied your empire before coming here. You conquer through superior technology and overwhelming force. But you have never faced an enemy that refuses to stay conquered. Commander Vexthul slammed his hand on the table. The metal surface cracked under the impact. Enough of this nonsense. We have heard your pathetic history. It changes nothing. The NIGMA Empire is not ice or plague or your own kind fighting each other. We are a force beyond your understanding. You have advanced weapons, Ji-won agreed. Your ships are faster than ours. Your armor is stronger. Your energy weapons are more powerful. In a direct fight, you would win easily. Finally, some sense, the silver-armored NIGMA said. But that assumes we would fight you directly, Minho continued. It assumes we would meet your strength with our weakness. Humans do not fight that way. We are very good at finding another path. Ji-won stood up slowly. Let me tell you about Vietnam. A small country with primitive weapons faced the most powerful military in human history. The advanced army had better guns, better vehicles, better everything. They should have won in weeks. But they did not? Commander Vexthul asked, though he tried to sound uninterested. They fought for years, Sora said. The primitive army never met the advanced army in open battle. Instead, they disappeared into jungles. They struck supply lines. They turned the advanced army's strength against itself. In the end, the advanced army gave up and went home. Or consider Afghanistan, Minho added. 3 different empires tried to conquer it. The British Empire, the Soviet Union, and the United States. All failed. Not because they lacked weapons or soldiers, but because the people there refused to be conquered. Commander Vexthul was quiet for a moment. You think to threaten us with guerrilla warfare? Our technology makes such tactics impossible. Your technology is impressive, Ji-won admitted. But every piece of technology has weaknesses. Every system can be turned against itself. Every strength can become a weakness if approached correctly. She walked around the table slowly. You have conquered 47 star systems. How many of those systems required ongoing occupation? How many rebellions have you faced? How much of your military is tied up keeping your empire together instead of expanding it? The NIGMA delegation exchanged glances. Commander Vexthul's red eyes flickered. We offer you a choice. G1 continued. You can withdraw from Earth's system and seek easier targets elsewhere. We will not pursue you. We will not interfere with your other territories. Earth will remain independent, and you can avoid a war that will cost you more than you can possibly gain. Or, the scarred NIGMA asked. Or you can try to take Earth by force, Minho said, and learn why every species that has tried to exterminate humanity has either failed or no longer exists. Commander Vexthul stood up to his full height. You dare to threaten the NIGMA Empire? You insects think your small victories against your own kind compare to facing us? We are not threatening you, Jiwan said calmly. We are warning you. There is a difference. A threat is about what we will do to you. A warning is about what will happen to you regardless of what we do. Sora Lee deactivated the image projector. We have shown you our history not to boast, but to help you understand. Every challenge has made us stronger. Every enemy has taught us new ways to fight. Every disaster has shown us how to survive what should be impossible. Earth has been warning potential conquerors for thousands of years, Minho added. The warning is always the same. We do not start fights, but we finish them. We do not attack first, but we never surrender. We remember everything, and we learn from everything. Commander Vexthul walked to the viewing window. Outside, stars glittered in the darkness. You speak well for primitives, but words are not weapons. Hope is not armor. History is not a shield against NIGMA power. History is the best weapon we have, Jiwan replied. Because it shows us that no empire lasts forever. No conqueror remains undefeated. No species is too weak to resist if they refuse to give up. The NIGMA leader turned back to face them. The NIGMA Empire grants Earth 30 standard days to consider surrender. At the end of that time, we will return with our fleet. You will submit to integration into our empire, or your world will be reduced to cosmic dust. 30 days, G1 repeated. That should be enough time. Enough time for what? Commander Vexthul demanded. G1 smiled for the first time during the meeting. Enough time for you to reconsider. Enough time to remember this conversation. Enough time to realize that we tried to warn you. The NIGMA delegation filed out of the room. Their heavy footsteps echoed in the metal corridors as they returned to their ship. Sora Lee waited until they were gone. Do you think they will listen? No, Minho said quietly. They are too proud, too confident. They see only our weaknesses and ignore our strengths. G1 looked out at the stars. Then they will learn the hard way. Some lessons can only be taught through experience. What are our orders? Sora asked. We return to Earth immediately, G1 replied. We have 30 days to show the NIGMA Empire why their other 47 conquests were practice, and Earth will be their final exam. The human shuttle departed the diplomatic station shortly after. Behind them, the NIGMA fleet prepared to spread word of their easy victory to come. Deer did not yet know they had just signed their empire's death warrant.